The walls inside of Madison's Overture Galleries are brimming with some new artwork as they welcome their new fall exhibitions. One of those exhibits include these stunning handmade quilts. The Rotunda Gallery features quilts to support safe schools for trans and queer youth. G-Safe is a Madison-based organization that works with schools to make sure LGBTQ youth thrive in the classroom. And organizers believe that this colorful artwork can really help young people who may be feeling forgotten.
I think sometimes we forget just how beloved and valuable our young people are, and I think sometimes young people don't feel the support, and these quilts are a really tangible way of saying, I support you and I'm wrapping you with love.
And this exhibition runs through November 16th.